Hello, ladies, again. Thank you so much for joining me. So first and foremost, my name is Shane, your personal trainer and nutrition coach. Looking to hopefully educate you ladies as much as possible so you guys can make informed decisions when it comes to your nutrition and your health and overall well-being. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. I would love to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. But anyway, sugar. Let's face the facts. In reality. Um, there's sugar in a lot of things that shouldn't be, but it's be hard to escape sugar. Sugar is just understandable, and something is just for taste. It's no, like, it doesn't give you muscle. It doesn't help with hormone health. It doesn't do none of that. It's just for taste. Okay, it's just for taste. So let's watch this video, kind of talking more about sugar, and I hope it talks about the competition between sugar and fat back in the 60s or 70s or whatever it is when they're competing, and that's when low fat skim stuff came out. But anyway, let's see what this is about. Alrighty, and don't forget, subscribe if you like to Vice TV. It's fantastic. Alrighty, let's do this.
By eating the processed food that the food industry has told us is good for us.
The industry doesn't have to tell us how much they've processed the food we're eating. The USDA released the first mandatory nutrition labels on food in 1990. By listing ingredients only, they masked what processing was doing to the product.
So understand something, I said this many times before. If something is low sugar, there's more fat in it. If something that's high for low fat, there's more sugar in it, vice versa. If you know what I'm saying. So because, like I said, just for taste. Sugar is just for taste, but fat, it has more than just taste. It's taste, there's the hormone health, actually the good fat, let me be correct, the good fat is good for your system, and good for your brain, good for a lot of different things.
Problem is, it's not what's in the food, it's what's been done to the food. And you could not tell the difference between sugar that's, say, in versus that which the company added.
As refined sugar becomes a key ingredient in almost everything, America sees a skyrocketing number of diabetes cases, affecting more than 30 million today. The condition can also lead to heart problems, kidney disease, nerve damage, even amputation. Dentists also begin to see an epidemic of tooth decay. That's exactly what Kristen Kearns saw. She's a pediatric dentist who uncovered the hidden history of the big sugar lobby through more than a decade of painstaking research.
As a dentist, I know that the sugar industry has really infiltrated into my profession for a very long time. They've sponsored dozens and dozens and dozens of scientific projects.
So as I watch this, comment below if you floss every day. Comment below if you floss it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't. My wife gets on me about that. We're trying to make sure our son actually he flosses and gets used to it too. But comment below, let me know if you floss every day.
Projects between the 40s and the 70s, and over 300 publications. And I think we've only scratched the surface on telling the story of what the sugar industry's been up to behind the scenes.
Kearns became an authority on sugar after first hearing the industry tell its big lie at a dental conference in 2007.
I was given a brochure by one of the keynote speakers about how dentists could help manage type 2 diabetic patients. And it didn't say anything about reducing sugar. And then a second keynote speaker ranked Lipton Brisk sweet tea, which had 44 grams of sugar,
44.
as a healthy drink. And I actually...
And the thing is, like, you think iced tea. Oh, it's iced tea. It's healthy. Even before watching this, you would think iced tea. Oh, let me get the iced tea. Between soda, between juice, between all that stuff. Let me get the iced tea.
Chased him down and said, how can you possibly say sweet tea is healthy? And his answer to me was, there is no evidence linking sugar to chronic disease. And I was literally stunned. I had no words. Tooth decay is the #1 chronic disease in children. How could you possibly say that sugar is not linked to chronic disease? So I started to wonder, had the sugar industry influenced what I was hearing at this dental conference?
Kearns began researching the sugar industry and stumbled upon an industry how-to guide for deceiving the public.
I typed in sugar to my local library catalog and found records to the Great Western Sugar Company. I'd never heard of the Great Western Sugar Company. I started looking through the finding aid and found these.
I will say it's interesting. She said she went to her library to do this, which is very funny. That shows how long ago she was been doing this, because we're in 2025 and she couldn't just or maybe go downstairs to my computer or take out my phone or something. No. She knew this for a long time ago. I just find that interesting. You have to go to your library.
These boxes with references to nutrition and policy. I couldn't believe that I'd found that, but I happened to be the first one to look at these confidential sugar industry documents just sitting unexplored in this collection.
Kearns had in her hands the smoking gun, records of a secret campaign by the trade group representing cane and beet sugar.
And this was a public relations campaign that set out to influence the Food and Drug Administration, who at the time was evaluating the safety of sucrose for the first time in the 1970s. So all of the documents I found showed how the sugar industry influenced that FDA report.
They also showed how the sugar industry was mirroring the successful campaign to shape government policy and public opinion launched by Big Tobacco decades earlier.
Sugar and tobacco companies definitely use the same strategies. It's all about casting doubt on that evidence, linking a product to any kind of harmful effects, and then pairing that together with a PR campaign to get the message out.
What cigarette?
Yeah, and that's the thing is what I realized is what I found out actually is the fact some of these cigarette companies actually owns some of these food industries as well. So it's just like it's crazy. So like she said, they use the same tactics when it comes to promoting their businesses or whatever, because it's crazy, man. I mean, and this is why I'm happy that we have these kind of things like the Vice TVs and certain Netflix are they're doing these different documentaries, bringing light to certain things. That's why I'm happy. One of the good things that about the internet, my opinion is the internet gives stupid people a voice. I mean, you guys consider me stupid too, but it gives stupid people a voice. But yet it is bringing light to it. It's giving a lot of people more resources and more information, hopefully good information, correct information, but this is good stuff.
Do you smoke, doctor? The brand name most was Camel. Yes, surveys show more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Smoke Camels, cigarettes so many doctors enjoy. The world's most thoroughly tested filter. That's no fresh filter cool.
Cool.
Kearns uncovered how the sugar industry laid its own trap to deceive.
Now, I just talk about that sure as hell could not happen now. And right now, that commercial could not fly right now, especially a cardiovascular issue, all the issues we have, period. That could not fly right now. But they got away with it and made so much money in the time. It's criminal, but it is what it is.
The sugar industry was very good at following a line that tobacco industry has done quite well in, which is to obfuscate science.
How the sugar industry paid experts to downplay health risks.
The sugar industry paid scientists to find either that sugar had very little to do with a range of public health outcomes, or more successfully pointed the finger away from sugar towards fat. And that's why you had, through the 1970s, a very successful deflection by the sugar industry of regulation away from itself towards the regulation around the consumption of fat.
Are you making the most of your Marvel? Marvel makes cooking deliciously light and helps keep you looking just right when used in a calorie-controlled diet.
And so this started the low-fat craze. Example of that, skim milk. Turns out that dietary fat was actually good for us. Dietary fat actually suppressed cardiovascular disease. We took that out. And so basically, we engineered our products to be toxic.
If you ever see something, unless you have a dietary issue, if you ever see something that says no fat, no sugar. I mean, I know we're talking about not having sugar at all, but if you talk about no fat, no sugar, run away. Do not buy it. I did that. I think it was cheese I got. And I don't think it's supposed to have sugar anyway, but it had like nothing in it. And it tasted god awful. I mean, I don't think you should have. I was just trying to experiment. I don't like having low fat, skim that, or whatever. I don't like that kind of stuff. Unless you have a dietary issue, unless a legit doctor says, and I say legit doctor, doctors are legit for the most part. Unless the doctor has a really good reason for you to go on a low fat diet, whatever it may be, and you can have. Well, you can have fat, in my opinion. But just make sure you run away if you see something low fat, low sugar, whatever. It's just nothing in it. Oh my God, it was so bad. Anyway, let's continue.
And they didn't just make foods that were unhealthy. They actually promoted them as being the better choice.
Dry, delicious, light and fit green. It's no ordinary non-fat yogurt. Be light and fit and satisfied.
In these folders, it listed all of the research projects that they were funding, the scientific.
I bet those, I mean, I haven't actually had one before, or even had one maybe in a long time before. That non-fat, low-fat, whatever probably has tons of sugar. 100%, I'll guarantee it. For the flavor, always remember, low fat means high sugar.
The consultants that they were working with, the PR firms they hired, ways in which they were connecting with the media to get their messages across. Their strategy was to publish science that would be conflicting with evidence that might be linking sugar to obesity or diabetes or heart disease or tooth decay.
Along with paying scientists to write reports in its favor and masking its involvement by hiding its funding, the Sugar Association pushes back on findings it doesn't like, a strategy that's become common practice in many parts of the food industry.
The food industry has tried to discredit people who get in its way. They have tried to discredit me, hopefully to this point to no avail. But, you know, they have their ways.
The sugar industry definitely comments on anything that I write. They write a letter to the editor. If I get media attention, they're writing press releases to try and counter what I say.
The sugar industry's done very well in terms of messing about with the science and avoiding regulation. The soda industry is really exhibit A here. A number of initiatives and a number of local ballots across the country tried very hard to introduce something called a soda tax.
The new tax that's leaving a bitter aftertaste is almost a week old.
A small tax, a cent or two per fluid ounce, to be able to dissuade consumption and use that money for public health benefits. And they did very well, the sugar-sweet beverage. So what does the soda industry do? They lobby very hard.
The American Beverage Association opposing a tax on sugar-sweetened drinks.
It's a bad tax. This tax is only going to hurt.
And successfully.
I feel like I have the right to drink soda, and if I need to gain a few pounds, that's my right.
Even the news media becomes the messenger for big sugar.
The sweetened beverage tax is no more in Cook County.
Come back to Cook County. Spend your money here.
And that's a shame because it just takes celebrities, they take these, use the media to get back, what they want. It's crazy. It is to get their way, I should say. It's crazy. Just keep on. When you have tons of money, you can just, do whatever you want, really.
The influence of the sugar lobby extends to both the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Food and Drug Administration, the government divisions meant to regulate the industry.
The heads of each of these organizations can come from the industry. They go back to the industry. They make sure that other people from the industry go back into government. And so there is this revolving door that basically keep the USDA and the FDA from being able to be overhauled. It's known as agency capture, and the USDA and the FDA are the most famous captured agencies in American government.
And I heard about this and recently, and I think they're looking to stop that from happening, from you taking a government job, then going back to, go flip-flopping, and this keeps revolving door, like the gentleman said. They're looking to stop that. I mean, I hope it actually does come to fruition, but we'll see. I mean, when money's involved, it's just,
In fact, the scientific committee that reviewed the dangers of sugar for the FDA was led by a man named George Irving. He was also a paid consultant for the sugar industry.
So he was responsible for that safety review of sugar. And that's a common strategy, is to get industry-friendly scientists on these review committees.
It works for the food industry. And ultimately, it works for government too, because they make $56 billion off the tariffs each year. The problem is they have not yet equated the cost of the healthcare crisis that they have caused. They see this as a separate silo. So let's do the math on this. The food industry makes $1.4 trillion a year, of which $657 billion is gross profit. There's a lot of money riding on this. Healthcare in America costs, and 62% of all healthcare dollars are paid for by the U.S. government.
My thing is, it's a pharmaceutical company and the food industry, sugar, whatever. They're all shaking it. The one hand washes the other. In my opinion, one hand washes the other. So it's just like, man, it's just tons of money. And, as long as people getting sick or using a product, or consuming their food or whatever, and then eventually having to use medication, they don't care. I mean, they're still making their money. And it's going to take us to say no to certain things and have, you consume it in moderation, but
that is $1 trillion a year that the government is paying so that the food industry can make its $657 billion. This is unsustainable. And all that happens is that healthcare goes down the tubes. Our personal health continues to shorten our lives, and we are immolating the planet in the process.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, definitely follow, subscribe to Vice TV. But yeah, this is just crazy, and I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And just remember, realistically, sugar is just for taste. That's all it is for. Fat is not the enemy. There's bad fat, of course, but just remember, moderate. All right. So some people say, how much do I consume? I ask how much should I consume? I personally think I usually have my clients start to kind of drop it down to 50 grams of sugar per day, and then drop it down to 25 just to have control. I remember, I'll never forget this. I went like a 2 week, maybe more, whatever it was, 2 week pretty much fast from sugar. And I can't forget. I mean, and the next day, I mean, the two after 2 weeks, I had sugar. I had bad stuff. I'm not gonna lie. But the next day, I woke up. I felt like had a hangover. I didn't drink at all. It was just strictly just the sweets, or I think I had those donuts I had. I literally had a hangover from all the sugar that I had the previous day. That's insane. That's insane. But anyway, comment below. Let me know what you ladies think about this. Like I said, I hope you learned a lot. Don't forget to subscribe. I have more videos like this coming along. Alrighty, have a good one.